I call this meeting of the Red Oak Independent School District order at 7 p.m. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. All board members are present at this time with the exception of Mr. Sebring. Mr. Knight, would you lead us in invocation, please?
Father, we come to you once again, Father, during this meeting, just to ask that you be with us. Father, as we make decisions to, tonight or, throughout this year or throughout this time period that you've allowed us to have, we just make them, Father, the best we can, that we'll provide everything we can do for this district, Father, to encourage, to strengthen, to just give them that knowledge, Father. Father, we thank you for, like I said, to all our staff, everyone, our teachers, our students, our parents, being involved. Father, we're blessed in that way, and we thank you for allowing us to have that. We just want to thank you for everything. Lord Jesus, amen.
Ms. Porter, would you introduce our pledge leader, please?
Our May Pledge leader is Micah Broussard. He is 16 years old. His parents are Chanel Quins and Mark Broussard. He has one brother, Mark. Micah is in the 10th grade at Red Oak High School, and his favorite subjects are medical terminology and theater. Micah enjoys martial arts, theater, socializing, and helping others. His favorite book is Mockingbird. When Micah grows up, he wants to be a nurse practitioner. The person he admires most is his mother and Jesus Christ. Something he likes about himself, his confidence and eagerness to learn. Micah is in his second year of ROTC, takes 4 honors classes with a GPA of 3.73, and is a student council member. He is a competition team captain, awarded the Navy League Medal last year for overall excellence. He is also the operations officer for his unit. Micah Broussard.
Please stand and recite the pledges with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, with one indivisible.
Thank you. Next, we will take some non-action items, issuance of certificates of election and statement of elected board members and swearing in newly elected board members. Ms. Peterson and Ms. Porter, if you will take your places, please. Mickey? But they're going downstairs, I think. While they're both heading downstairs, in the name and by authority of the state of Texas, this is to certify that at a general election held on Saturday, May 4th, 2024, Melanie Peterson and Mickey Porter were certified as unopposed and duly elected as Red Oak ISD Board of Trustees.
You can raise your right hand, please. Sorry. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be. So help me God. Okay, now this is your oath. Go ahead and raise your right hand. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of School Board Trustee for the Red Oak Independent School District of the state of Texas, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God.
In case you're wondering, that's a 3-year term that they will send out. All right, our next item is every May after elections, we reorg the board. We'll start with the president, and then we'll move to the vice president, and then the secretary. For somebody to be considered for an office, they have to be nominated and then seconded, and then we'll have a vote. If more than one person is nominated and seconded, then we will do the vote for those 2 candidates or 3 candidates, however it works out. So we'll start with the president first, and I will open it up and nominate Melanie Peterson for the office of president. I need a second.
Second.
Do we have any other nominations? We have a nomination for Melanie Peterson, a second by Ms. Porter. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Passes 6-0. Congratulations, Ms. Peterson. You may now assume the role.
I didn't know I was going to start right this second. Okay, next we will open the nomination for vice president. And I make the motion to nominate Johnny Knight for vice president.
Second.
Okay, so we have me making the motion, and who is the second? Sean. Okay, are there any further nominations? Okay, then we have all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. That passes 6-0, and Johnny Knight is nominated and elected vice president. Next, we will open nominations for the office of secretary.
Make a motion to nominate Mr. Brian Sebring.
Okay, do I hear a second? With no second, that motion will fail. Are there any other nominations?
I nominate Michelle Porter.
Second.
Okay, so we have a nomination by Sean Kelly and a second by Donna Knight to nominate Ms. Porter for re-election as secretary. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, then Ms. Porter is nominated and elected, re-elected secretary. Okay, we have a couple of more recognitions. First of all, we have Top Hawks. Miss Knight, will you help with that one?
For the 23-24 school year, Red Oak ISD has partnered with area businesses to recognize our outstanding students at each campus and our district staff. Top Hawk celebrates those students who rise to the top. Each grading period, campuses will select Top Hawks, one boy and one girl from the entire school based on the 4 talents of the Hawk. Each elementary school winner will receive a $25 gift card, and each middle school and high school winner will receive a $50 gift card from our sponsor. Thank you to our sponsor for this grading period, Linebarger, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson. We're joined tonight by their representative, Jeff Keller. So thank you for this sponsorship. We appreciate you very much. And students, as I call your name, if you will come to the front and if you will remain standing until we get all elementary up here at one time. From Eastridge Elementary, we had 5th grader Braden Esparza. And also from Eastridge, we have 3rd grader Harmony Eaton. From Red Oak Elementary, 4th grader Jeremiah Minger. And from Red Oak Elementary, kindergartner Marley Jackson. From Shields Elementary, 3rd grader London Levy. And from Shields Elementary, 2nd grader Rafael Orozca. Okay. From Shupman Elementary, 1st grader Axel DeLeon. And from Shupman Elementary, 1st grader Miranda Juarez. From Wooden Elementary, 5th grader Frederick Seth Patterson. And from Wooden Elementary, kindergartner Kendra Vasquez. Okay, and if our elementary students will stay up here for some photos. Parents, if you want to get to where you can also make those photos, you can come up closer if you want to.
Here comes. Here comes. Oh. I ain't gonna miss it.
Stay put.
Parents, y'all can come right up here in the front. You don't have to lean all over. If you want to come up, come on up.
Got one more.
One more. All right, congratulations. We're going to move into our secondary at this time. So from Red Oak Middle School, 7th grader Trinity Sherman. And from Red Oak Middle School, 6th grader Olivia Frumpnick.
Oh.
From Red Oak High School, freshman Mackenzie Snelling. And from Red Oak High School, sophomore Riley Horn. And again, if y'all will stay put, because parents will be coming up to take pictures afterwards. Okay. What, got one coming up? Okay, thank y'all. Congratulations again. We also have the Outstanding Business sponsor our Hawk Staff Spotlight. From bus drivers and office staff to principals, custodians, teachers, and more, our Hawk Nation consists of the best of the best. Every day, Hawk staff goes above and beyond in a variety of ways. Tonight's winner will receive a certificate for $100, a gift card from our sponsor again, Linebarger, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson. So congratulations to our Hawk Staff Spotlight for the 5th grading period. Edna Netro, Transportation, come on down. You can read about her nomination on the social media post, but I pulled a little bit to tell you a little bit about what they said about her. Come on up. Our neighbors are special needs students who ride a district bus. Miss Netro is the one I usually see loading the wheelchair-bound student in the mornings, and it's an absolute treat to see their interaction. She's always willing and tell them how beautiful that they are, how she loves her hair. She going to have a great day. The student responds the best way she's able, and you can tell by her version of laughter and excitement. These Hawks are exactly where they need to be, and their students are lucky to have her. So congratulations, Miss Netro.
Next, we have Ms. Sanford's superintendent's report.
Yes, and we're going to start with our Community Partner Academy update. Our Executive Director of the Red Oak Independent School District Education Foundation, Ms. Karen Anderson.
Dawn, you have to stand in the front. Dawn, you have to stand in the front.
Good evening. I'm happy and honored to present to you this year's participants in our Red Oak ISD Community Partner Academy. A few of them are here tonight with us. When I say your name, y'all just kind of wave and step out. These are the ones who participated this year. Jordina Battle Billings, Janelda Badola, Cicely Cooper, Jasmine Dunham, Dorcas Gasami, Gloria Hernandez, Dawn Hill, Chamika Hopgood, Antoinette Johnson, there you go, right in a row, Precious Jordan, Kendra Morris, Eva Richardson, and Ataria Wade. I had several that had perfect attendance, and these were probably 3 of them right here because they came tonight. But they went through an application process and were selected to participate in a 6-month academy to learn everything there is about Red Oak ISD. They attended 4 hours a month over a 6-month period and heard from almost every department within the district. When asking presenters to present, I basically said, tell them what they don't know. Tell them what you do in your department, how it affects how we educate our students, and tell them something they wouldn't normally know, and that's what they did. So on the next, is he going to advance my slide for me, or am I doing this? Sorry. Am I Okay, so here are all of the departments that they heard from over the course of 6 months. And as you can see, we pretty much hit every single department that there is in the district. And they had a great time. This past month, not only did they hear presentations on every one of these departments, they also were able to tour a elementary campus, the middle school, and the high school. They got to see fine arts. They got to see athletics. We went through all the athletic facilities. They ate lunch in the press box. So they actually touched every part of this district throughout the process. And in April, we were able to have a graduation ceremony at the ESC, and they all received their certificates that night and their wonderful shirts that they have on. And I just want to say thank you for participating. If you know of anybody that wants to learn more about Red Oak ISD and what we do here, the community partner will open up applications again late summer, early fall, and they'll start in October and go all the way through April. So thank you very much.
Picture.
I'm getting the picture.
Okay, and at this time, we're going to have Angela Thomas, our sponsor for the Red Oak High School Student Council. They're going to be giving a annual report.
Hi, y'all know me. I'm Angela Thomas. We have 11 members on our board, and I brought 5 of them tonight. So after, I'll let them take over here in just a second. But we're here because Student Council is the link between our student body and our administrators, and also you and our community. So we wanted you guys to stay up to date with what our council's been doing throughout the year. As always, we've had a really busy year. The kids have been working incredibly hard, planning all kinds of projects to grow campus culture, and in the process, growing as student leaders. So we're trying to keep it quick. So they put a lot of pictures in here and give you highlights from each of our months, and then share with you some of our goals there at the end. So I'll let you guys go.
My name is Kamaria. I'm the 2024-25 historian treasurer for Stuco. In the summer, we hosted a few different things. We went to a week-long leadership camp at Angelo State University. It was in person and virtual, and we also hosted the executive board officer trainings. Okay. We also, sorry, Ms. Thomas. Okay. We also did the teacher move-ins along with the waffle day breakfast, and we did freshman camp as well. We also did something called You Go Stuco, which was an interactive event at the beginning of the school year where we welcome in new members, and we also hosted senior sunrise at the beginning of the school year.
Good evening. I'm Ryan Smith. I'm the 2024-2025 Hawk Outreach Chair. In the month of September, we did the gift exchange with other schools, Stucos, that we competed football teams with. Sorry. We did Moms with Friends, which is where we made moms with the special needs students at our school. We did our Hawks Care Cancer Rally, which is where we supported those in our community who might be struggling or fighting a battle with cancer.
Hi, my name is Kayla. I am the 2024 2024-25 Student Careers Chair. And for October, it's one of our most busiest months as a student council. So our biggest event is homecoming, which we work on pep rallies, the parade, and the dance, which is mostly run by us. Our theme was Game on Hawks, where we decorated the halls with different board games. Ours was Clue. Theirs was Life, and just many different board games. And at our District 3 conference, our first District 3 conference, where we went with many different student councils, and we shared ideas to bring back to our own council.
Hi, my name is Jayla McGinnis. I'm the 24-25 community chair. We had our for November, we had our Veterans Day breakfast where students invite students, teachers, and even teacher spouses who have veterans in the family came, and we gave them breakfast. We had donuts, different type of foods and things like that. Then we had our first blood drive of the year. And then and then we had our Toys for Tots, which we had outside of our school. We had different food trucks. We had a bounce house, and a lot of people donated toys. And then for December, we had a Christmas festival booth at our governance center where we helped some of the kids color and make different ornaments and even decorate some cookies. Then we had a TSCC District 3 overnighter, which is D3 is like our area, Dallas-Fort Worth area. We all got together, had an overnighter together. Where we got to meet other campuses, other Stucos, and got to learn more. And then some of our members volunteered for the Toys for Tots, where we went for the Toys for Tots warehouse and helped pack some of the toys that would eventually go to the kids.
Hello, my name's Elenia. I am the 2024 to 2025 Creative Chair. In January, we started off with spring planning so we could plan out the rest of the year. Then we did Hi, How Are You Day when we encouraged students to say hi, how are you to each other to get to know each other better. Then we did the Red Oak High School Expo where we taught other students what StuCo does and get them to join us. Then we helped with the Special Olympics basketball skills opener, and we got to see all the special needs kids, like help out. We get to help out with them, watch them play basketball and have fun. And then 4 of our StuCo members went to the TASC Advanced Workshop in Lakeview to learn more about leaderships and how to be a better leader.
So for the month of February, we had Valentine's Day candygrams, Hearts for Hawks, where we encourage staff and students to find their names on hearts in the hallways and trade them in for a piece of candy. We had a couple of students volunteer for Feed My Starving Children, which is where they went and packed foods to be distributed internationally. And then we had our 100th Day of School, where we encouraged organizations to donate 100 different items that would be used to help those in need. And in exchange, on the 100th Day of School, they can dress up like a centenarian, which is somebody that's 100 years old.
Okay, for the month of March, we went to spring conference, and we also got a few students recognized there. Me and Ryan, we both got scholarships for the summer workshop leadership camp that's coming up in July, I believe, and they were also elected for something special. And then we hosted blood drive number 2 of 3, where again, more people came out to donate blood, and they each saved 3 lives by donating. And then we also hosted a karaoke night just as an interactive thing for StuCo to get kids out and going.
For the month of March, for the April, everything was winding down. So for our first event was the TASC State Conference for not only the student council of Dallas were there, but the student councils all over the big state of Texas were there to share ideas and come together. And also, we got to see the eclipse. Was really a great event that we saw. For elections, we had new officers, which is most of us. And yeah, and then kite day, everyone was stressed out. So after school, we flew a bunch of kites in the park, in front of the school. And we had a transition meeting for our new officers to figure out what our new jobs will be for the incoming year.
Now, these are just a few of the awards that Stuco has received throughout this school year. The first one is the National Gold Council of Excellence Award, and we also received the TASC Sweepstakes Award this year as well. And we've also been elected to serve as the TASC District 3 President School, and Lauren, our Stuco president, she's the representative for that board. We're going to be a part of the executive board for the entire Dallas and Fort Worth area. This upcoming school year, we're going to participate in the state steering retreat with other councils from around the state to help them plan the state service project. And we will also support the student councils in our area to be successful at their own schools. Sorry, I'm speaking again because I'm the treasurer. This is our year-end numbers for the 2023-2024 school year. So we've had over $2,000 in monetary donations. We've had over $50,000 of goods donated this year, and we've had over 4,000 service hours given from all the members and us as well.
Nice.
For our goals for the incoming school year, we want to increase our student involvement and excitement, develop new projects and ideas for the school years to come by building off of old ideas they had and making it better. Our next goal is to increase the number of blood donors to over 300, which we had a blood drive today, which is very, very successful. We had 86 blood donors. And then finally, we want to increase our connection between the middle school Stuco and elementary Stucos and the Red Oak High School Stuco.
And they left out May, but we did teacher appreciation. Like I said, we had our third blood drive of the year today, which brought us to over 250 units of blood collected this year. And then we still have senior sunset on Saturday. So almost there. Who said we were winding down? We never wind down. I wanted to talk for a second about one of their goals next year, which is to bring the Red Cord program to Red Oak High School. The Red Cord program is something sponsored by the American Red Cross, in which graduates who donate blood at least 3 times while they're high school students get a red cord to wear at graduation. And if they can't donate, they can recruit a family member, a teacher, or somebody else to donate in their place. This is something that pretty much every school in the Dallas-Fort Worth area participates in, with us being the exception. I talked to our representative today, and she said that there's only 1 or 2 schools who don't do it, and we're one of those. However, we have been recognized the last 2 years as a silver school, which means we are among the top schools to collect blood in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And then I also learned today that we're among the top 15 in the nation for sickle cell donors, which is huge. So our kids have been asking for several years, and for various reasons, we're not totally sure why, we haven't been able to bring that program to Red Oak High School. And we want to continue to grow the number of blood donors because it is such an important need in our community. And with one of the 4 talents being to provide a community service, put we before me, giving blood is a huge service to our community, and we'd like to encourage students to do that with the Red Cord program. So we're hoping to get some support to bring that to Red Oak High School next year. So we wanted just to mention that tonight. And I think that's it, right? All right, yes. All right, thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Y'all done great work.
Appreciate all y'all do. Hey, and at this time, we're going to have Mr. Frills to give a construction update.
Well, for those of you who don't know, we stopped building a middle school. We're working on an arc out there. We've got about 254 of the approximately 475 piers have been drilled and poured. We've started pouring grade beams, as you'll see here. Underground utility construction is progressing. It's almost completed. All the water lines are in, all the sanitary sewer lines are in. They're finishing up on the storm sewer. That's part of the problem right now, is getting that finished with all the rain. And we're planning to start on the roads, on-site roads and the parking areas. They were able to get some lime down Saturday before the rain started at the back parking lot, but that's as far as we got with that. And we've had several inspections. The structural engineers have been here twice. All the architect inspections and all the Bureau Veritas inspections have went off with no issues. So far, so good. Everything has went off fine. The only thing that has popped up so far is we did get some dirt samples that came back, and we are going to have to add a little bit more lime stabilization to the parking areas, but that's not unforeseen, especially with the weather, the way it's helping us. Of course, that's what it started to look like. That was the first picture where the complete foundation, where the slab area is done. And they started digging and putting in the grade beams, and now sections C1, C2, and section D, the first row of classrooms, the grade beams are all being cast and formed, and we're caught up. Actually, the foundation guys have caught we haven't been able to drill piers in like 2 weeks now because it's been so wet. Here's a close-up picture. You can see this is the actual storm shelter right here. This is the competition gym. This is the weight room and the dressing rooms. And this is the first classroom section that they're working on the grade beams right now. And then they'll continue to move west, and then it'll come back around. It'll be counterclockwise till we end with the media center or the library right here. So that's what it looks like after they've drilled a pier and they've poured a pier, and they come back and they're digging the grade beams. That's when it looks like when it's on a nice dry day. Look how pretty those are. That's a pier in there. You just can't see it because that's after one of the monsoons we've had. And that's what it looks like. And they got to go in there and chip all of that mud and dirt out by hand and get it completely brushed clean before we can put attach any steel to it. So that's what it looks like when they form the bottom out. You see how those are cleaned out because they have to be that way. Putting the side panels up with the forms, and they're laying the steel. That's the rebar on the storm shelter. There's last Wednesday we started pouring. There's the concrete going in the form. That's after it started to set up and they put some concrete anchors in, and that's on Thursday afternoon when it was dried out. That quickly they pull the sides. It takes about 5 to 7 days of dry weather to pull the bottoms. And here's the storm shelter. This is important because you can see that these two walls will not be attached to each other. This structure, that storm shelter, is a self-standing structure, a grade beam in the wall for the other gym, competition gym right here on this side. It will look like it's attached. It'll look like it's all one, but it won't be. And that's what it looked like after it was poured. I wanted to give you a before and after picture. So there's before, and here's after. Now they've poured that one, and they've laid the steel in for the second beam. I think that's it, isn't it, Scott? Hopefully in the coming weeks, if you guys all go to Academy and buy you some hip waders, we might be able to take you out there. What we'll do is we'll probably just get you in the cart and let you, in the next couple of weeks, drive around. Right now, you got to be part Sherpa and own about chest waders to get around out there because it's pretty rugged and pretty muddy. But it's going. We're making progress and it's going well. You guys have any questions of anything that I can answer? Not, I'll get the answer.
Are we leaving the detention pond in the front? Somebody asked me that the other day.
Yeah, there's
They
two
are-
detention ponds in the front. It's the,
Are they staying or is that?
yeah, what's confusing right now, that's a great question, Mr. Kelly. What's confusing right now is they're holding a lot of water that they won't be when it's all finished.
Right.
Because the storm sewer that I was talking about that they haven't finished, it will eventually all drain out, just like the ones do right behind the softball and at the high school, right over here. You know, those fill up and they're gone within 20 minutes, but they're not finished with that because they can't get in there and finish it until, they can't even drain them until they're fully sodded and that sort of thing. So they have to hold water and they have to manually pump it out. So yes, they will be in the front, but they won't hold water like they're doing now because we could drive back here and these are dry and they'll be the same way. They'll act the same way. The one on the right that you saw that looks like a swimming pool is the tennis courts. That's where the tennis courts are. Every time they get it pumped out, it rains and they fill back up. So they have to do the soil conditioning there. But that's a great question about the detention ponds. They are not they're just detaining it, not retaining it.
That's right.
So they are now because of the way that it's just not finished.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at this time, we're going to have Dr. Johnston to come and give us a budget update. It is in board book. You want to pull it up in board book?
Good evening. And we do have a presentation that hopefully will come up. There it is. This is the fun part of the evening. So have fun. Talk about the budget process for the 24-25 school year. And as you know, we presented the budget calendar to the board in January. It's an ongoing and fluctuating process developing the budget. And unfortunately, this year it's even worse than it has been because every other year when you have the legislative session going on, there's things that change. This year, there's not a lot that's changing, but a few things are critical as we develop next year's budget, which I'll share with you as we progress through here. Again, the budget's developed based on district goals, and it must be adopted by the end of June, by June 30th, since we're a July 1st start. And the budget steps, the budget calendar, the process was reviewed in the fall. We discussed strategies in the superintendent's cabinet, and we communicated the budget process to the stakeholders and the school board in January, as I said. We also started in January reviewing the revenues and expenditure components for next year, such as pay plans, make sure the pay plans were equitable, and stipends from a compensation perspective. We also met with budget managers in the month of January and February just to talk about their budget process for the current year, and if anything needed to change for the next year. And then we started developing the initial preliminary revenue and expenditure projections. And one thing we did, and I'll share it a little bit later, is we asked all the budget managers that we're going to indicated to them we're going to reduce everybody's budget by 10% to try to have a balanced budget for next year. And I'll talk a little bit more about that, but that's part of that budget development process. We determined the projected staffing needs for the next school year, and at this point, we haven't added a lot of additional staff. We've added several individuals, but last year it was in the neighborhood of 20. This year it's down to 3 to 4 right now. And the preliminary budget position was reviewed by cabinet, and then budget managers went into the Skyward and entered their budgets. And we determined the projected salary and benefit costs for the next year as part of the process. And we did receive at the end of April the preliminary property values from the appraisal district. But again, that information won't be finalized until the end of July, when we've already adopted the budget in June. So we also cabinet reviewed the budget position as it currently stands, and now we're presenting to the board here in May. And then the next meeting is June 10th, and we have to publish the notice of budget hearing 10 days before that, so that time is coming pretty quickly. Then the budget and the proposed tax rates will be shared with the board in June. School board will formally adopt a budget by June 30th, and then come back after we get the final certified values at the end of July and adopt the tax rate. We sort of already know what the tax rate is. It's really not going to change. And I'll share that in a few minutes too. And part of the development process. Again, one of the things that I've always shared too is when we develop a budget, we don't really know anything. As it says, the property values, we won't know. We get the preliminary information in April. We won't know what the final numbers are until by the 25th of July. Student ADA, it's an estimate right now because that's not finalized until the end of the school year. So we're waiting still to see what this year's ADA will be because we still have another couple of weeks of school left. Again, the property value, the comptroller's property value study, which is part of the process, which I share a little bit more in a few minutes too, that isn't given to us until January. A preliminary value is given to January after we've adopted the budget in June, so 7 months later is when we get that information. And so there's the information there. Also, as part of the process, you know, in 2019, there was a Texas Property Tax Reform and Transparency Act. Again, the problem there is we always used to adopt the budget and tax rate in June, but because of this, you can't adopt a tax rate until August or September. And again, it's based on those certified property values, which we'll receive by the end of July. And right now, the projection is the tax rate is going to go down a little bit because last year it went down almost 19 cents, but it's going to go down, 0.0023 for next year. That's what it's currently. And it's based off of property values increase, the tax rate is going down. The state said that the increase was going to be about 3%. So that's what they did it to reduce it to, and our rate will be 7.552. It was 7.575 in 2023. So it went down a little bit. Here's a chart that I've shared in the past, just saying when things are received. Again, our ADA was not known until the end of the school year. Again, the budget starts July 2024. And so it's just a guessing game at this point. And on the property values, the same thing. July 2024 is the start of the school year. We won't get the certified values until after the budget's adopted. Plus, we won't get until January what the property value study is, and taxes collected will start in November through February. And there's a little bit of change that happened this year, which I'll explain in a few minutes as well. And over the since 2019, we've dropped the M&O, maintenance and operation tax rate, by 35%. And it's gone down almost 41.5 cents. It used to be at $1.17, and now it's going to be next year at 0.7552. So that's gone down through all the things that the state has done for school districts. Now, talking about the revenue budget projections and expenditure budget projections next. The ADA, over the last several years, our enrollment had gone up by almost 300 students and then almost 250 students. We were projecting to go up close to that in the 23 school year, but unfortunately it went up only 90 from the fall snapshot date. So as a result of that, I have it going up a little bit more, but it's going to be a little less. That's why I'm showing 25 student less ADA than what we budgeted in the 23-24, just a result of that. And the district's goal is 97% ADA, so we're factoring that in there. And again, just for the enrollment compared to ADA, early childhood students and half of the pre-kindergarten students are not included in the ADA number. So you can't take our enrollment projection times 97%. That's not exactly what your ADA would be, because you have to remove those groups. For our enriched student categories, factored in a 3% increase for those. The basic allotment hasn't changed since 2019, when I have a slide here in a few minutes to show you that. So it's still at 6160. This last year, the school safety allotment was increased to $10. It used to be before that $9.72. Plus, in addition, we get $15,000 for every campus. And the purpose of that was to make sure from the state level that every campus had a school resource officer on the campus. Granted, that's not enough money to fund that, but that was what their intent was. In our situation, we were already funding that, so it didn't really impact our budget negatively as a result of that. Again, on the revenue side, increase the local assessed property value by 12%. What I got last week as far as the preliminary April was about 13.5 to 14% increase. I'm thinking with all the protests, it's going to go down a little bit. So I'm right now thinking it's going to be 12%. We'll continue to get more weekly input until we bring the budget back to adopt in June. Again, the tax rate was reduced based on a 99% collection rate, because that's what it was over the last several years. Still feel that we're going to get a little bit more of a state revenue than this year. One of the reasons is because they added hold harmless. When the homestead exemption went from 40,000 to 100,000, part of that legislation was to give districts a hold harmless, that if you're losing tax rate or tax levy as a result of going from 40 to 100, that would just be moved over into the state funding. And so that process is still going on. The TA hasn't really finalized how they're calculating that yet. So that's kind of impacting the current year final numbers that we know right now. And then the comptroller's property value study, projecting that to be a 9% increase, because it's typically close to what our certified values are. Again, the downside of that, if that goes up, then the state funding goes down. Again, this is a chart that I've shown you all in the past, that if the local share goes up, the state share goes down. Here's an example that you have two districts, District A, District B. Again, 6160 times 1,000, because each of them have 1,000 students. District A can get $5 million from taxes, so therefore the state would give them the 1.16. District B only can get 2.5 million from taxes, so the state gives them more. And here's a chart that or a different visual that I do too, that the cup size is going to be the same for both districts because they're the same size districts. They get the same amount of total funding, but District A got more local funds, so therefore they get less state. Same District B has less tax collections, so therefore they get more state. One of the things that we also benefit of, being that we're a growing district, we're considered a fast growth district, and so we get additional funding as a result of that. Over the last 6 years, we've had 689 students from 6 years ago to 2023, and so they allow you to count that less 250, so only 439 students are counted, plus we get additional funding as a result of that. We're also projecting to increase the state's TRS pension payments because we have more staffing costs. Then we're also hoping to get some more Medicaid reimbursement as well. From the expenditure side, again, compensation is a big deal. And so therefore, we'll bring into you later this evening, asking you to approve teacher pay increase of $1,000 per step, admin professional pay grade of 3% of the midpoint, paraprofessionals technical and auxiliary of 5% of midpoint increase, then teachers above the new step 30 salary, because they don't get a step increase every year because our compensation plan only goes to step 30, they would get $1,000 as well. As I said earlier, we've added a few positions. At this point, we haven't added more than 4 positions. And we also want to maintain many of the attendance incentives that we've implemented over the last several years. There's other expenditures. Property and liability insurance, we have that going up. We're still waiting to get the final numbers, so hopefully that won't be higher than what we've projected. As I said earlier, we did to try to have a balanced budget, because not a lot of districts are going to have a balanced budget. A lot of them are going to be in a deficit situation. We want to try to have a balanced budget. So we reduced the campus and department budgets by 10% to try to eliminate some of the not educationally related expenditures. And we're going to reduce some of the utility costs a little bit. Back several years ago, we entered into a multi-year agreement with 3 different providers. And the nice thing about that is the cost, when we change providers, the cost is going down. So we're recommending around we'll think we're going to get about $45,000 decrease in total utilities for this year. Also, for every new student we've added, we allocate additional money because they need technology. They may need a desk. This year, because we're having less new teachers than we had in the past, those numbers can go down. So that's going to be a budget reduction. So here's kind of a snapshot of total revenue changes as well as expenditure. $2.2 million total revenue increase. And then we have the 2.19 at the current time, 2.193377 increase in expenditures. As you see, the discretionary budget's a little over $1 million was reduced. That's that 10%. So right now we're sitting at about a $19,000 positive variance in the budget. And again, that could be subject to change. I'll talk about that in a few seconds. Again, the campuses, this is the per pupil allocation for each student that is projected to be at that campus. Again, that per pupil number has gone down by 10%. The at-risk numbers for those low-income students, that remained the same, and the department budgets have been reduced by 10% as well. Now, for legislative changes, this is not a legislative year, but 2023 was 88th legislature. If they increased the basic allotment over the last 6 years, the CPI, Consumer Price Index, has gone up about 19%. I estimate that would increase our basic allotment from 6160 to 7260, which you add that number in, that's almost $10 million of additional revenue. So school districts are certainly losing by not having that keep up with inflation. Again, they also increased last year the Tier 2 funding for Golden Pennies a little bit. Again, the safety allotment was increased to $10.15. Now required armed security officers at every campus, which we already had, as I said. Property tax relief, they increased the homestead exemption from from 40,000 to 100,000. And then they compressed the tax rate by almost 19 cents. That was from the CADs, the county appraisal districts, trying to factor in all that. We got in July the $100,000, but one of the things they did not include in that, which is having a negative impact on us right now, is over 65 was always frozen, but because the compression, the M&O tax rate was going down, back in 2021, they passed a bill that says if the compression goes down, then those over 65 that have had a frozen tax, that should go down too. That information wasn't made known until November. So a lot of districts this year, because of that, they'd already adopted their budget. So a lot of them are experiencing a deficit budget this year. At this point, I'm hoping we're still going to break even, but that's a possibility because we're getting about $2 million less tax levy this year than what was projected. When we got the information from the CAD in July, there was no communication that, oh, be careful because over 65 may change. And again, at this point, they also did not put any additional funding for staff in that 88th legislative session. And again, this is a chart that says for the last 6 years, our basic allotment is 6160, and hopefully that'll change next year when the legislation session gets back together. And the final thing I need to share with you is, and we've done this over the last several years, the state requires us to share with the board what the difference is between the local certified property values and then the state certified property values. The locally certified property values is provided by the local county appraisal district, the CAD. And again, that's what they use to they give it to us so we can project the tax collections that we're going to get. And again, it's always provided by the end of July. And again, it's based on the values as of January 1st of that year. Now, the state certified, the purpose of that, there's over 250 counties in the state of Texas. Not all of them may do their appraisals the same way. So the goal from the state certified property values is to try to ensure that there's equitable distribution of, number one, of state funding, and that the local CAD evaluate the property in a similar situation. So they take and audit what what the local CAD does and says, yes, it's going to be, your numbers are okay, or no, you need to change your numbers. Problem is if they say the CAD's numbers aren't right, then that has a negative impact on school districts. Downside also, they only conduct this study every 2 years. They don't do it every year like the CAD does, and they just sample. So here's an example. The state will use the higher value between the CAD values and the property value study values. And so again, the purple there is the local share, the yellow is the state share. And so what the problem is, if the property value study, the comptroller's office says, oh, your value needs to be higher than what you estimate, then you get less state aid, but you don't get any more tax collections. You cannot raise the additional taxes to make up the difference between what the CAD values are and the value set by the state. So the districts lose money as a result of that. And we see that right now too, because of what's going on this year with the miscommunication from the comptroller's office saying, here's the value you should be sharing. The CAD should be, because the CAD has to share with the comptroller office every November what those values are. So in November, they said, here, give us this information. January, they said, oh no, we need additional information. So there's a lot of communication, and it's still up in the air right now. So again, this goes back to that local share and the state share, the seesaw there. So here's a document that I'm required to share, and this gives the last 4 years plus the projected year next year. The top line is the property values that we got from the CAD, and the one with the blue star is what the state certified values are. And as you see, they're roughly close, except for the 23-24. The comptroller's property value study is that we had to appeal it, and that 3.5 billion number is our appeal number, whereas the CAD had a $3.8 billion, and those are two separate and different numbers. And I don't know how the state's going to reconcile that, but that 3.8 is only the going from $40,000 to $100,000 property value, where that appeal included those over 65 values. And at the very bottom, the 38 basically is trying to show you what you get from state funding. And that state funding has gone up, but at the same time, next year is pretty much the same as what we have this year from a current projection. Now here's one more explanation. Hopefully this will clarify it a little bit, even though it's very confusing. The first column is what we budgeted for this year. And the property values are at the top. Over 65 frozen, $3.5 billion. The state certified property value, what we thought the state certified property value is going to be, is $3.7 billion. So therefore, we get a total of $66.5 million of state and local funding. Then we get, in January, the preliminary estimate of the state's property values, and that number, well, first off, we also got from the CAD their revised numbers, which we had to ask them for it. They did not provide that to us. Showed that the over 65 frozen went down from 3.5 billion to 3.3 billion. But the state certified values went up to 3.8. So it went up a little higher than what I was projecting. So therefore, we're losing roughly $2.2 million of total funding. Also factored in there is under that other state aid, there is some hold harmless that I have factored in there. So it may have, without that hold harmless, it may have been more. But if the property value study appeal that we submitted, the 3.5 billion, is okayed by the comptroller's office, we actually will break even from what we budgeted. So therefore, it goes back to that seesaw. If the property value studies are higher than what was projected, then you actually lose funding from the state. So now the next steps, continue to review the current ADA and the budget to actual revenue and expenditures to make sure that nothing really changes as we develop the final budget for the 24-25 school year. Monitor any information from TA, such as the hold harmless. We're still waiting for them to calculate what that hold harmless is going to be. We make final adjustments to the budget and provide an update on any major budget changes at the June public hearing. We'll hold that public hearing in June before the budget is presented to the board for approval. And we'll ask the board to approve it in June, and a proposed tax rate. Tax rate shouldn't change. Like last year, it did change from June to August. And we asked the board to adopt the tax rate in August after we get the certified values. And if the revenue projections change due to the July certified property values, we'll ask the board to approve an amended budget, which we did last year. We just transferred money from taxes to the state funding last year, which we did that in last August. So that's it. Any questions? Now we'll be back in June with hopefully a balanced budget. That's the plan right now, to bring back a balanced budget, even though a lot of districts are saying they're going to have a deficit budget. Our benefit is we're a growing district. Some of these districts are stable or their enrollment's going down. So that means less funding for them, but we're still growing, which is very good. So.
No questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Then I just have a couple of real quick things and we'll be through with my update. We're not going to go through all of the different things that the track team and everyone received because we had that before this board meeting, but I did want to say that we just had our teacher appreciation, and thank you to everyone that was involved with that. I hope every one of them felt loved. I think they did, because we certainly appreciate them very, very much. We have had some signings that I want just to real quickly, I'm not going to give names, but give you some numbers. We had 44 students sign their college or military acceptance letters on decision day. We also had 6 fine arts and 14 athletes sign. So that's all I'm going to give you as an update. Everything else was already said beforehand.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Lanford? Okay, and we will move along. Debbie, did we have anybody sign up for open? Okay. Then next we will go to our action items. First is consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that any board member would like to remove and consider separately? Okay, hearing none, do we have a motion?
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Any second?
Second.
That was Ms. Knight. Okay, we have a motion by Johnny Knight and a second by Donna Knight. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Item passes 6-0. Next, we have consideration of audit engagement letter. Dr. Johnston.
Yes, every year, as you know, school districts are required to do a financial audit. And we're planning that starting in June through September. And so we're recommending that the board adopt the engagement letter with the auditor we've had for several years. The only change is going to be is Dan Ton has been the auditor for this district for a number of years. He's retiring. So we'll have a new auditor. His name is Steve Lacey. The cost is for the audit went up $1,500 from last year to this year, which is comparable. I mean, based on the cost of everything else going up. He's also going to help us. There may be some additional costs for our ACFR that we submit, and so the total cost may be somewhere between, it's 43 to 45,000. So I ask the board to approve the audit engagement letter.
Anybody have any questions for Dr. Johnston? If not, do we have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the administration or the school board approve Hankins, Easton, Easton, Deaton, Ton, C, and Scarborough conduct the Red Oak IC annual financial audit for 23-24.
Second motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Kelly and a second by Mr. Knight. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The item passes 6-0.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, next we have the consideration of board nomination for TASB director candidate. Ms. Sanford?
Yes, districts have the opportunity to nominate candidates from their own school board for the TASB Board of Directors. This year, those individuals to be nominated are for Region 10, Position A. Any candidate in the contested race who receives endorsement from a majority of the district in the region will automatically be elected to that position. The current director in Position A is Tricia Eckerd from Maypearl ISD, and she has indicated she will be seeking re-election. The term for this position is for 3 years, beginning at the close of the 24 annual TASA TASB convention and expiring after the convention in 2027. So administration recommends the consensus of the board in the nomination if you choose to nominate a candidate for TASB Director Position A. That's strictly your decision on nominations.
Okay, and that's a 3-year term?
That's correct. It is 3-year
Okay,
term.
is anybody on the board interested in running for that TASB board position? Okay, then do we table, or what do we do if we're gonna pass?
If you do not have a motion, then there will be no action.
Okay, so do we have a motion then to nominate someone from our board? Hearing none, that motion fails. Okay, next is consideration of purchase of cafeteria equipment. Victoria Yarbera.
Good evening.
Hi.
Evening.
I'm just going to read from the script. This purchase is for 4 double-stack convection steamers to replace old and non-working units at Red Oak Middle School, Wooden Elementary, and Eastridge Elementary. This capital expenditure request was approved by TDA, and we obtained quotes from Kirby Restaurant Supply, Pasco Brokerage Inc., and A Smart Restaurant Supply. And Kirby Restaurant Supply was selected as the best value purchase for the district, having supplied a quote with the lowest price. We recommend the approval of the purchase of 4 double-stack convection steamers from Kirby Restaurant Supply in the total amount of $106,486.32, using the Region 10 MRPC RFP as presented. Any questions?
What is a double stack convection steamer?
A convection steamer is used with steam heat rather than a convection oven. Much faster cooking times. We have both convection ovens and convection steamers in our kitchens, and it just cuts down on the time of prep. And it provides, it's a much smaller space to cook in and provides a lot more space for us to cook more items.
Any questions?
Just one, I was reading through it, and I guess it's a 1-year parts and labor, but then there was a 1-year extended warranty that goes along with it, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the purchase of the 4 double stack convection steamers from Kirby Restaurant Supplies in the amount of $106,486.32 using the Region 10 MRPC RFP number 2022-09 as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Knight and a second by Ms. Porter. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank
Motion
you.
passes 6-0.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, next is consideration of salary schedule for 2024-25 from Dr. Johnson again.
As indicated in the prior presentation, the recommendation is that we do increase staffing costs or staffing compensation for next year. The goal of the district is to ensure that we are able to retain staff and we have a competitive salary schedule. As indicated, the recommendation is that we increase the teacher pay scale by $1,000. Those over step 30 would get $1,000 as well. And those that are between step 1 and step 30, they would also move up 1 step. So there may be a little additional with that too. And also for the administrative professional staff, a 3% of midpoint increase, and then all the other staff, 5% of midpoint. And this is similar to what we did. We did 3 and 5 last year. For teachers, we did a little bit more because we had a little bit more budgeted dollars to be able to do that. But it's the same thing, same process and same approach we used last year. So administration recommends that the board approve it.
Any questions for Dr. Johnson? Comments?
So are the paraprofessionals, are they hourly or are they?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
They fall in the 5% group.
Do we have a motion?
I make the motion that we approve the proposed pay increases for the 24-25 fiscal year and authorize district administration to continue to review all employee groups to ensure that the pay is properly distributed within all groups.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Donna Knight and a second by Sean Kelly. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Item passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we have consideration of technology purchase. Megan Corns.
Good evening. As part of our review of technology services throughout the district and then also seeking information from the campuses, it has been identified that we have about 262 cameras that are analog and do not provide adequate video surveillance for the campuses. And so this purchase would allow us to replace those with IP cameras that would provide clearer pictures for the campuses and for PD to be reviewing across the district. Any questions?
I was just looking at the resolution on these. These 4 megapixel, IPs, and I understand, resolution is a big deal. That's where I just want to make sure these are going to give us what we're looking for. Because I know we do have cameras that if you want to pull a file on it, it's horrible. So I want to make sure these cameras are going to give us the quality that we're looking for. And they're saying this is going to do it.
And we actually followed up and did a second call just this last week, just to double check that these are the cameras that they would recommend.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Is KLC, is that new or is that the same one that we've been using?
We've been utilizing it.
That's the same company?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So this is 262 cameras, correct?
Yes, sir.
If you'll notice too, on the fiscal, we're putting it as capital projects, but with the option of if the TEA grant supplies, we can actually do it with the TEA grant instead. So it's kind of an option there. We have the funds in capital projects, but if we move it with safety grant, that will alleviate that need to pull it out of capital projects.
Is this replacing I mean, how many cameras do we have now?
I do not have that exact number, but this is replacing all of the ones that are analog.
That are what?
That are analog, that are outdated.
Okay.
Going to digital.
Okay. So do we have any other questions? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase of the cameras from KLC Video Security as presented.
And a second?
A second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Knight and a second by Mr. Kelly. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Item passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now you guys have seen the information items. Is there anything that any board members would like to highlight? Ms. Sanford, anything you want to bring out on information?
No, ma'am.
Okay, the time is 8:22, and we will convene into closed session.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.